So you're a fan of Atlanta United, and after winning MLS Cup in year 2, you'd think we'd be contending every year.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's what you guys thought.
6 years, 3 coaches, an interim coach,
Twice.
and no legitimate runs at the title? What the hell happened?
Well, you've come to the right place.
Was it bad front office player management?
Probably.
Were the coaches all wrong?
Yep.
Did the tactics suck?
Definitely.
Didn't we already cover that?
Yeah, but it's a new era with new hope and new questions to discuss.
Is Dyla the answer? Are Lagerwey and Henderson the right dynamic duo? Or will they spend all our gam on another Miguel Berry?
Join us as we drink wine, break it all down, and sort it all out.
I'm Mikey Dobbs.
I'm David Katz.
And I'm Carmen Butler.
And this is Season 7
of the ATL on Fire podcast show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of ATL on Fire, the podcast where we talk all things Atlanta United football and all things soccer. And I am only joined by Dave Katz this evening.
Oh, no.
Sadly, we're missing Carmen, Dave.
It's sad. I missed Carmen.
Little family emergency, wishing her the best. And we've got 2 games to recap this evening. We've got a draw against Dallas FC and a frustrating recent loss in our home game stretch, our last game at home here before an away stretch. We couldn't find a way to equalize or beat the New England Revolution and end up losing 0-1.
Last place, New England Revolution.
Yeah. Not great. So a lot to talk about. I know you and I had plenty of texting back and forth. But before
That's
that,
right.
you brought a themed wine, Dave, to kind of commiserate in this.
This is in honor of our finishing in the New England game. It's called Clinker Brick.
It's actually quite nice.
It's unclear whether our shooting results in a clinker or a brick, but either way, it's bad. This is a Cabernet from Lodi, California.
I like it.
Yeah, it's nice.
And yeah, would like to take a moment, right, to thank our sponsors.
That's right.
And I don't know why it's not loading, but it's not. So I don't know if it's coming up.
Well,
on
you're
screen
working
or
on
not.
that. I'll give us the talk through. Ready?
Yeah.
We got to wing it on the fly now without Carmen, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
this is how she keeps us going. Anyway, our sponsors, Wild Heaven Brewery with 3 locations, Toco Hills, Avondale Estates, and the West Side, for amazing beer. Now that the weather is turning, you should go sit outside on all of their outdoor patios, and they have live music and good food.
Hopefully all the pollen, the yellow pollen at least, is
The Atlanta snow.
washed off. And I know the other pollens are out there in Atlanta for the allergy people out there. I know my wife is struggling with it. But it's beautiful out. It's about as good as it gets in Atlanta. It's going to be 86 degrees this weekend.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
It's not now.
No.
It's been
little
nice
chilly.
and cool now. Yeah, it's beautiful.
But also want to thank Wild Heaven Brewery.
No, that's what we already thanked.
Oh, we already thanked.
Now it's the Wolf Mountain Vineyard.
Thank you. Yes. I thought it was going wine first. And then,
sometimes we switch it up.
Yeah, Wolf Mountain Vineyards up in the Dahlonega Plateau, now an official wine region recognized in the U.S.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, I mean, up in Dahlonega and the mountains there, it's absolutely beautiful this time of year. I'm sure if you go to the Wolf Mountain website, there's events that they have. You can go up there and have lunch.
Yeah, you really can't beat that.
No.
Like for a day trip, you just go up.
Day trip.
Right now, amazing weather. You sit out looking the valley. You drink wine. You have food at their restaurant. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Track down Brandon and say, I know these guys from ATL on Fire, the podcast that talks all things Atlanta United.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this might be amongst our favorite things to do.
Yes. So, Dave, you are always studied before these games. The FC Dallas game, we tied 1-1.
Yep.
Do you want to start there? Where do you want to start?
Yeah, let's start, with the interesting moves right off the starting lineup you can discuss, right? So Miranchuk started on the bench. I think they said that maybe he had a little bit of a knock, but he was on the bench. Cleek with Muyumba starting in the double pivot, right? So it wasn't, and then it was Sleece and Almiron, and still no Amador. He hadn't made his appearance, though he makes his appearance in the New England game finally. And without Amador, Dyla opts for Abram on the left rather than Cobb, and then Edwards plays on the left. So the back line was, and Hernandez was also on the bench, right? So our back line was Lennon, Gregerson, Braum, and Edwards. How do you think about that?
Well, I don't like Abram in there. Let's put Cobb in there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm okay with Edwards going in there or Ronald Hernandez personally.
Yep.
So either of those have been fine, but yeah, no Abram.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. And in the same in the New England game where he was a factor.
You want to go right to that?
To New England?
No.
Starting lineup?
To our defense.
To our defense. Yeah. I want to
go right. You want to just jump right into it?
Jump right into it, yeah.
Okay, so let's pull up the highlight then.
Okay.
Which I think hopefully we have. So this is the goal that we gave up. So we're going to put it up on the highlight for a minute. We have it paused where the play starts, which is New England sort of in the
Dallas, right?
Dallas, sort of in the attacking third. Probably, 20, 30 yards outside our box. We have everybody back, and we're going to first talk about our starting positions.
You're driving.
All right. So on this clip, I'm going to actually just play 2 seconds.
Go big screen too. Sorry.
So I keep saying I'm getting ahead of myself. So Dallas is playing in the middle, right? And what we have is Muyumba is coming out to address it. They have 2 guys, and then Sleaze is going to come right into this play. I think this is actually Sleaze here. So it ends up being 2v2. They're going to play this nice little slip ball that beats both of them. It's a really pretty ball that they play. I mean, it looks like they both went for the 2 Dallas attackers went for the same ball, and it looks kind of like Keystone Cops. But then they get it right, and they play this nice little slip ball to get through. And what's going to happen is Muyumba and Sleaze are going to track vigorously. But what I really want you to watch is what happens in our back line, right? So they make a nice play, and they beat our 2 defensive midfielders. We had one back in a good spot. The other one was coming back. Like, nothing's wrong with that, right? What I want you to watch is what's going to go along in our back line. So first, let's see what this little pivot is. See that little back heel?
Yeah.
Really nice. And they split the 2 and watch him make this little move. Another little pass there as Sleaze steps out. Okay. So actually it was Sleaze coming out here. It was this one. But anyway, so now
they're loaded on our 4 in the back with kind of 5v4.
Yeah, so this is the problem. So they've defeated our defensive midfield with it's a really nice set of little balls, right? Could it have been better? Sure, but they did pretty well here, right? So now the question is, what does our back line do, right? So this is Lennon, right, out on top. We're basically, they're like, I don't know what we just say.
Pretty well man v man, other than the guy driving forward with the ball.
And we're about 8 or 10 yards outside of our own 18, right? So Lennon is really close to his guy. He's on the inside. He's perfect. One of the things you'll notice, Gregerson has actually stepped out in front of his guy. Yeah. So he's being really aggressive here.
Yeah, and he's holding the offside line too, right?
Edwards out at the left is right on his guy inside. Beautiful, right? And here's Abram. Okay, so now here's the first question. Who do you think's going to make the mistake?
Well, I'm going to go with Gregerson staring somebody down and blaming it on one of the other 3, but I'm going to guess Abram.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. It's not, super whatever, but I think the answer is Abram. So what's going to happen here is Abram. So there's a guy running at our defense. So somebody has to step up.
Yeah, and Abram is kind of in the position because his guy is the furthest back.
Yep. And he's the most free.
So it does make sense for him to be closing that angle that he is.
So he's going to start to come to address the player. And as the player comes over here, he comes closer to Gregerson. And so it becomes clear that Gregerson is now going to step. So when Gregerson steps to hit the ball, where should Abram go?
Well, I would assume that if Abram sees that Gregerson's guy is left, he should step in the middle there and take him over.
Yeah, he should go here. Unless his guy goes through, then he has a dilemma 2v1, right?
Yeah.
But what's going to happen is this guy doesn't really ever go. So he's going to come here and come back, and then Gregerson's going to step up. And instead of filling in for the danger spot, it's almost like he's like, oh, I'm the left of the two center backs, and he just goes back to here. And as we're going to play it, what you're going to see is he goes back to here. He puts his arms around his back like he's going to block a shot. He never watches, and the guy runs just right in behind him. It's just unbelievable to me. So let's play it. See how he came, and then he backed off? Right. So he was coming, and then he backed off. And I think he was like, well, maybe Muyumba's going to get a tackle in. Gregerson is there, but Gregerson now has to step up.
Nothing too bad at this point.
Right. No, we're in perfect spot right here. Right. So Gregerson kind of steps up here, and we're still in a good spot.
Great spot.
Right. Like, how do we get beat? Right. So then watch. Okay. They play it here.
So he does play it square to Abram's guy who is a bit back, and he had to give that cushion. So Abram is now posted up with his hands behind his back.
He just goes back to the spot, and then but watch his instincts, right? So he comes here, right, and he never looks. He's just ball watching.
Yeah, well,
right. So his guy guy's gonna slip in right there.
But it bothers me. Like, this is modern soccer with the hands behind the back thing. It becomes this habit. And as soon as he's in the box, he's got his hands behind his back. Come on. Like, you got to, at some point, keep your legs wide and be able to move left to right. And if he had his hands out further, he'd be able to move probably where this pass is going, right in the slot here, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you notice is, like, Edwards was alert to the danger. He came over here, and he was whatever. He's going to get back in a pretty good spot, and he's, like, in a great spot the whole time. We'll get back to it at the end until the very end that he just starts ball watching also.
Okay, so this goes out wide?
No, this ball is going to be slipped right through to this guy. It goes right through the middle.
Yeah.
So he slips it through the middle, okay? And Abram turns around like, oh, wait, a guy's going right through the middle on me? Like, he has done nothing on this play except for stand there and whatever.
Yep.
Now, Gregerson, who was coming out, is quick to react. And he's going to come from here, and he's going to get a block, okay?
Okay.
Which is awesome. He recovered. You can say he got beat because that was his guy.
But he didn't get any help from a guy.
He didn't get any help from this guy, and then he recovers and makes the tackle. After it gets blocked, watch Abram. Does he ever go and help and read the danger? No, he just watches. Right? There's the block, and he's just standing there. And then he's like, oh, wait a second. I got to go kind of help, right? And you can see now Edwards was in a great spot, but he was ball watching the whole time, and his guy is slipping in the back here, which is not good. He never reacted there. But this gets blocked. It comes back here, and still he's nowhere in the picture to get a block in.
Yeah.
Right? And so then he's here, and he roofs it.
Yeah.
Right? So my point in doing that is not to say that, okay, it was horrible.
Yeah. It
wasn't horrible.
It
wasn't horrible.
Yeah, horrible.
But the instincts.
Yeah.
You're like the instincts. You're like, once again, there's a play that went right through the middle, and Abram did nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Right now, you would say, look, was it his fault? No, I don't think it's necessarily his fault. But any defender who's going to make, you have to have instincts to make plays, game-winning plays when there's a breakdown, and go win the ball.
So I've seen worse goals against us.
Yep.
For sure.
Sure.
So this game ends 1-1. Who scored our goal in this game? Was it Latte Law?
It was a penalty kick.
Oh, that's right.
So, let's see. Oh, yeah, 17th minute. We win the ball up the field, as we've been doing a lot, which is awesome.
Yes,
that's really good. And then Muyumba quickly plays the ball over the top to Latte Loth, who holds it up, right? And then the defender just drapes all over him with two arms, pulls him back, penalty kick.
Yep.
And Almiron converts the penalty kick. So we were up 1-0. That was actually the equalizer.
Yep. So, that is interesting, the way we continue to play in a way where that front four is really up high pressing, right? Mm-hmm. and our defense is also, in general, pressing pretty well, and we seem to be able to recycle it back like we want to.
Yep.
So as this and other games have continued to look promising in those moments, it's still frustrating that we're not as clinical as we need to be when we get our chances with those talented four up front. And I will say, that wasn't the best example, but that wasn't a bad setup by Dallas in that situation to earn the goal. And we could have done better, both in the middle and then in your Abram explanation. But we're at least getting beaten, right? Like things are happening. Like it's forcing Dallas to actually play well through us to make that goal happen, right? And yet, like in the New England game, is another example of us just giving away stupid mistakes. Latte Loth, who is back and ran into somebody in the box, right? And we gave away a goal in that game.
Yeah.
Again, a dumb mistake.
Since you mentioned it, I'm going to show this. We're just going to let this play. So This is a really good attacking sequence for Atlanta. We're up 1-0. So here, Dallas was trying to play out of the back, and they play here, and we win the ball right here, right, with a beautiful, I think it's Miranchuk, or maybe it might not be Miranchuk. It's hard to say who it is.
About halfway up in.
Yeah, it's Buyamba. Anyway, we win the ball up front. And what I want you to notice about this, so this is going to end up with Almiron getting a very, very dangerous shot from about the 6 that looked to me like it was going in the corner, and there was just a defender that hit. Yeah. But knew nothing about it. It had the goalkeeper completely beaten. But what I want to point out, and we'll point out it a little bit more in the second game too, is not only are we turning the ball up the field up high and getting good chances, but there's a lot of guys going forward. I want you to see how many people end up in the box on this play. Okay?
Okay.
All righty. So we turn the ball over up the field, and we win it. Oh, it was Almiron who wins it. So he drives at the defense. He plays it out wide to Sabatine,
yep.
Right? There's a great overlap late run. I mean, we've been talking about that in the Pineda era. Remember how we said he doesn't need to be there ahead of time?
Yeah, like when he was with Araujo, right? Now he's showing up at the right time.
It's a perfectly timed run because he was back. Okay, that's awesome. So then it's creating, this is the overlap, right? I mean, the overload. Right? So he plays Lennon in the corner, and he's going to get a cross. But look at this cross, right? So we have 4 guys in the penalty area and a 5th one getting in there.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of players there. They cross it. He heads it back out. We win it again. Right? There's a shot from Silva at the top of the box. Sorry, I hit on this. Silva at the top of the box, and it goes right to Almiron, and it stops. Almiron gets the ball right at the top of the 6. He's going to turn and just have a shot towards this corner. And, this, if you look at the Dallas defender, he's like kneeling to block it. Yeah, and he's very lucky he doesn't get a handball or whatever because he's all the way down. But look where the shot goes. Oh. I mean, if that doesn't flick off of him a little bit, it's a goal.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of people in his way.
But what I want you to point out, when I point out this, is not only that we won the ball and we had great attacking things, but now at the end of the clip, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are right by the top, within the top of the box.
Yeah.
So that's not what we had in the Pineda era. We weren't winning the ball up the field. We didn't have guys in the box.
It's remarkable how many people we have in the box in attacking situations, which we'll get to, Dave, which you are saying the luck has to turn at some point when the stats are what they are and the numbers are in the box. But, I'll hold it for the New England game.
All right.
But let's keep
going.
Let's go to the New England. But what was your overall feeling of the Dallas game? Certainly a disappointment not to get a win at home against not a great team.
Yeah.
We had 11 shots to their 9, but only 2 on goal, and they had 2 on target. So, and we won in the possession category. We won in number of passes pretty significantly. We were fouled more times. And nothing much exciting.
I didn't think we
game.
dominated this game in the way that we did against a poor New England team, but I thought we were the better side, and I thought we deserved better. I mean, God, look at that. That has to be a goal, right? But nope.
Yep. Well, that's the problem, though. That's our problem. We got to be more. Got to be more clinical.
All right, let's go. Let's go to the New England game.
Okay. All right. New England game. Yeah, one.
Mikey Dot's going to pull it up, and we're going to do something different here now.
There you go.
So instead of just relying on the highlights, we actually pulled up the full game replay so we can do some really kind of interesting things. Right?
Oh, no, I didn't pull up the New England game or the full Apple TV.
Oops, you're on the wrong one.
Yeah, here we go. Now we're good.
Let's go to the full one, and then we'll do the highlight one. Okay. So 9th minute. So one of the things that, because it wasn't on the full highlights, I didn't want to look. What I want you to do, Mikey Dobbs, so this is a corner kick, and we give up a very dangerous header off the corner. And I don't actually know what happened here, but I want you to see what you think happened.
Okay.
Why did we give up such a dangerous corner? Are you ready?
Let's watch.
Okay. First, we'll play, and then I'll pause it when they zoom out here. Okay, so this is our starting position.
Okay. What I am looking at is on the near post, there's a guy who's marked up. There's a guy that's kind of in the center of the box.
Yeah, I think this is 2 right here. 1, 2.
There's 2, right? But we have somebody who's just marking the near post.
So there's a man marking and a free guy.
And a free guy kind of marking the near post. There's a guy covering the short, kind of floating in between.
Yep.
They've got a guy who's at the top of the 18 on the near side of the corner, and a cluster of folks on kind of the corner of the 6. But everybody is pretty much man-to-man. There's what looks to be some elbow grease in the right spots from what
I love this formation. I mean, love. Because you've got man-to-man marking all over the field, including they have 2 guys outside the box, like for maybe some kind of weird short corner play. We have a guy who's addressing that, thinking about it. They have 2 guys way out at the far post. They're marked up. Everybody in the 6-yard box is marked up, and we have 2 free guys. 1 free guy at the near post and 1 free guy here right in the middle of the goal. And that, to me, is like the perfect system.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see what happens. So it's played in. Everybody looks like they're running with their guys.
Played into the big cluster. There's literally 10 people in a cluster at the top of the 6. And somebody gets up and gets a nice, powerful header on it.
Yeah. Wide. But he was under pressure.
Yeah, he's under pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, to me, I wanted to play this because I didn't really know what the thing was.
I remember when this happened, and I'm like, man, that was a good, strong header by the New England guy. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, he got up and won it.
I think that was incredibly well defended. Yeah. We could have given up a goal, but you can give up a goal even when the
But that guy did great. That guy did great getting up and getting his head to it. But the reason it was off target is because there was elbow grease, Dave.
Right. I agree.
It's just enough to throw him off, and it would have had to have been a great header for him to have converted it. So, yeah.
Let's see if I can. You can keep talking about that. I'm going to see if I can find the next one.
But, yeah, I've been very impressed with our positioning on the corner kicks. Absolutely. Way better than the zone defense that we saw under the Pineda era, or even semi-zone, where people were just at 6s and 7s understanding what the responsibility was, and then somebody was ultimately just left free. I mean, how many times did we see that last year, Dave, where somebody drifted in and there's just a guy just hanging out on the far post? Like, that was not, even as that developed, that was not what happened there.
No. Okay, so the next one, and I like this because we're doing it live. Like, we didn't prep this, so you're getting the first reaction of both of us on this, right? I wrote down a note on the game, and I was like, we should look at it to see what happened. So here's a long ball from New England. It was all the way over the top to the left side. Okay. It's pretty well marked up. We got 2 guys, right? I think what's happened is one of the center backs has gone over there. Presumably that's Gregerson, and then Lennon is streaking back to put pressure on there.
Right.
We're going to force them to go back here. And then I think what happens and what I want to see is their play.
Which again, by the way, last year, did we force people to go back at this part of the field?
No, it was wide open there, right? So that's good. But what I wanted to see is, so what they're going to do is they're going to play back. We get pretty set, and then they're going to play down here to the complete opposite side. And it seemed like it was way wide open. So I want to watch what our outside back is doing on the weak side. Okay, so watch here, which is now Amador.
Yep.
So they go back one. So Amador is now here.
And by the way, Amador is at least somewhat trying to turn his hips to see what's behind him.
Yeah, he's perfect there. Okay, so then they go back again. Right? And now they play over here. And look, he's closing it down, actually.
Because he's got
he gets it. Like, look at that.
Yeah, he's, again, going to go to the situation where, like, he either has to play it back, he's going to have to beat him, or he can at least foul him here, to your point. Mm-hmm. It's
so I love what Amador is doing there. He's
again, we did not, when we talk about pinching in last year, we would have never have seen that ever last year in a replay.
Now I think I wanted to watch that as the first play, and then I wanted to watch now as the play develops what happens with Lennon on the backside. Okay. Let's see if Lennon has got his his shit together, so to speak. Yeah. So they get it. We pressure. We poke it away, actually. It goes back again. We force
it back, right?
That's great.
They try to recycle it around the back, and then they come back to the same side they just were and shoot.
See, this is the one. Like, so Amador came in here, and they played straight up the middle over him. So that wasn't so great. He pinched in a little bit.
Yeah. No, I think... Yeah, Amador got
caught a little bit ball watching on a ball.
He lost his guy, and you can't let Carlos Gil, the best player in their team. So that is absolutely a mistake on Amador's part.
That's what I was thinking. But the interesting thing is, I thought maybe what we were going to see is that he was just pinching him in and leaving him wide open, and that's not the case. He was out there addressing him, and then as the play went on, he got caught a little bit ball watching.
Ball watching, pressed forward too much.
Now, to be fair, this is his first game of the season. So, he's had no preseason. Yes, this is the first game he's played all year after the injury.
Oh,
yes.
He's been back. He's played this season, though.
No, I don't think so.
You're wrong.
I think this is first game. We'll look it up. But anyway, and then I want to see what happens on the back post as Gil gets there.
He played the first couple games.
Oh, so Lennon comes in here running 2v1 with the guy, and then never is aware of that
Somebody's
danger.
got to scream for a change here.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I think so. This again to me is not bad coaching, because I thought maybe he was pinching in. He wasn't. He was double team tracking this guy, right? As the two guys
was that through. His guy originally that just came in?
Yeah. So if you go back, so this is the through ball here. So watch, you can see.
Yeah, Lennon.
So he's here.
Yeah.
But what he really should be doing is, honestly, I mean, he can come back here, but he should have his head on a swivel because he's got Gregerson helping there. Now, one of the things you'll see is Abram, again, is in no man's land.
Gregerson also has the guy.
Yeah. What the problem is, Abram has created another problem, because he could either be out here reading this and double teaming and helping, or he could be like, look, that's your guy, Amador, and he could be here, but he's kind of neither again. This is what I always say.
I 100% agree. The problem is Abram, needed to just close the gap and allow either Amador to come double.
Yeah,
right?
I think he should be here.
Then you got 1v1 in the center and everything's fine.
So if that's the case, if Abram was reading that over the top and seeing Amador get beat and come over here, no problem. Now you got 2v2 here.
Abram never read that. He's not closed any ground here, and he's just created he's useless. And it probably will as this progresses, you'll show that he was never involved in doing anything in this play.
Even when Gil is now going to go at him one-on-one. Look, he's not close enough to help there.
He's not closing anybody.
Right. So Gregerson has this guy, and Lennon, to be fair, has marked back here. Now, again, if Abram says, okay, he's back or whatever, I still think he's got to be out here double teaming. But let's say
Abram is not making the critical decisions.
No, he's not doing anything.
The 1 second he needs to be left or right or somewhere. He's not doing it.
So indecisive. He's just staying in his channel and going back and forth and never reading the danger. So, in the end, Lennon has to stay with his guy, and there's another attacker comes in late, right, who ends up wide open. See, now he makes this move, Gil. Abram is not close enough, right? Amador does well to stay with him, but if he got beat badly, Abram can't block that. He would have scored. And because he's never been decisive, he's also caused Lennon to be here, and he has no idea that he's out here. So it's like it's a domino cascade. When one guy is indecisive in the back, all of these things happen.
And also like Muyamba, who's running back at this point, should realize he's not much help in the cluster of where people are already marked up. He should have ran out wide to the backside here where...
Yeah, it should have been like, hey.
Because to be fair, like Gregerson and Lennon, they could have sorted it out.
They should be pointing.
They should be pointing.
Guzan should have been pointing out of corner of his eye. Like, I'm watching the shot, but I know there's a guy over there.
Right.
Be aware.
There's poor communication from Guzan, Gregerson, and Lennon to sort it out a fraction of a second earlier. But also Muyamba, too, could have been pointing as he's running back and saying, hey, there's a guy on the far post.
Yeah, so Amador got beat and, created this problem with the ball watching to begin with. But nobody is helping at all making up for it. So then they play here, and now it's like scramble recovery. Right, they back to heel and, there. Okay, so that's the next one. That was pretty good. And I wanted one more. Oh, God, this is what I wanted to show.
On the highlight package or in this?
No, in this. I want one more on this.
Oh, going to the nose.
My goodness. Watch this. I mean, we might as well just stick on the theme because we're there. Oh, my God, watch this. Let's see. Okay, let's let it play. We have the ball. We're pressing. They're going to go back. It's great. Again, we force them back. That's great.
Why is Latte Loth so far back?
He tends to track really deep, and I don't know whether, some people will probably criticize him for that. But what I want to watch is when the ball turns over here, they're going to win the ball.
Sorry, I got confused there. I thought we were on the other side. All right.
Yeah. So we win it again. I want you to show as this play develops, we're going to end up losing the ball on this side. And so now we're playing 3 in the back. So I should preface this by saying, so this is the subs. So we're down 1-0. And I love what Ronnie Dyla did. So what Ronnie Dyla did is he went to 3 in the back with the 2 wingers to try to really change things up. So he actually brought in a defender. Let's see. He brought Cobb in for Saba, which might seem like a really defensive move, right? Bring in a center back for an attacker. But by doing that, what he did was he said, all right, we're going to play 3 in the back. And then now Amador and Lennon have the green light to go all the time. Mm-hmm. And we're going to try to now just change the dynamic and attack a little bit more out wide. Okay, so that's what he's done. So now we have 3 in the back. You can see this is Cobb, Gregerson's in the center, and this is Abram. Okay, so let's let it play because we're going to play up front. We're going to eventually turn the ball over. And Amador is way up here, and you're going to see what happens when well, I'll show you. This is absolutely crazy. We have the ball for a while, right? Abram is here. Let it play because it's fun. I think now Muyamba tries to force it through. They win it. Okay, we win it back again. Now here, watch this. Ready? So this guy is under pressure. Okay, so they've tried to clear the ball. We've challenged for it. Muyamba has gone after a second ball. It's amazing. Amador was up the field. And what's going to happen is because Amador is up the field, right? So they have a winger who's going to be out here. He's going to play this long ball to the winger, right? And what's supposed to happen is
Abram picks it up.
Abram has to pick that up in the center of the 3. And he's so committed to being a 4 and to be like, this is my spot. This guy plays a long ball up the field. He could easily win it. And if you watch Amador running.
I remember watching this in real time. I was like, when is he going to go?
When is he going to go?
And he still had so much time, even when he decided to go to. I mean, he was a couple yards.
You know why he decided to do that?
Because it became so obvious to him.
You know why it became so obvious to him?
Probably someone screaming at him.
Because Amador running back is like, what the F are you doing? Go get that ball. Watch Amador on this ball, right? See, look at him. See him pointing? He's like, go get it. Oh, yeah, I got to go get it. And then he does come over and win the ball. But he was never going to come over until Amador running backwards was like, you should do that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know. Let's look at it again. I think we might be a little hard on him after seeing it right there. Honestly, I think he was on his horse. Now that I'm watching this, let's be fair to him. Okay? So it goes, he's starting to run right there.
Not really. He's running straight back.
Yeah, hit play. Watch.
And then only after he points does he take off.
Yeah, but he's going to point. I don't know.
He was going to stand there, and this guy was going to get to the ball. I swear to God.
I don't know. I feel like I'm being a little hard on him.
Yeah, sure, but his instincts are awful.
Yeah, I will say that. Because it is a half a second. If you would have liked to have seen a half a second difference, and that is professional soccer, a second difference.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll give you that. All right.
Fun play.
All
right. So now we can go. You want to go to the highlights?
Sure.
You can do that one.
To the highlights.
Go to the highlights because we're done with the. Okay, this is going to be the penalty kick that we gave up. We're gonna go over it.
Which one is this? Going here?
Yep.
Let's
put it onto
this tab instead.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. So just hand it over. Yeah, put it there and hand it over. All right. So now this is the penalty kick that we give up. So they start with the ball about 20 yards outside of our 18. Okay. And we have, let's count them. 1, 2, 3. All 4 of our back line is back. Our 2 defensive midfielders, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 back. So that means there is 1 player forward. I presume it's actually Almiron. Because Latte Loth is here. Okay. Now, you can make an argument, I don't know, do we need to see Latte Loth there? Maybe he should be up too. But anyway, he's back. How do you feel about how we look here? Right. I got one maybe slight critique, but
I don't love. Is it Amador? Who's the left back here?
Yep, Amador.
I don't love how pinched he is. Right. It could just be a little further out.
This is David Heel, right? This one.
and also is that Carlos Heel?
Carlos Heel, I mean, sorry.
Carlos Heel, I think you got to have some closer skin against him.
You really got to. Now, one thing you would say is, as a team, right, what clearly he was doing, especially in the first half, was he was drifting out wide as the center guy. And, Muyumba and Sleaze were reluctant to go out there, right? You got to make an adjustment. So they were actually getting the dreaded Pineda overload, right? Here's the 2 guys.
Yeah, I think the problem here is that Muyumba, they needed to assign somebody to be on Carlos Heel.
I agree.
And it didn't happen the first half for sure. And he terrorized us. So if Muyumba, and that's Latte Loth, that's closer to Carlos Heel there at the top.
Yep.
He doesn't have any business there.
No.
I think that Muyumba needed to be all over Carlos Heel right here.
I agree.
Everything else sorts itself out. Now he's just, again, floating in the middle, and he's just causing more confusion for Miguel Almiron on whether he's going to address the danger or whether it's going to be Muyumba.
Yep.
And so if Muyumba is on Carlos Heel.
I think this is actually Miranchuk now.
Okay, Miranchuk. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Let's play the clip.
Yep.
All right, so you play it. And look.
To the best player in the field.
Go on the overload.
Killing me.
Yep.
And had Amador been just a hair wider, that pass would have been a lot more difficult.
Yep. So now they have the dreaded 2v1 overload, right? So it's 2v1 out wide. Yeah. They have Heel, their best player, and he's got an option out wide at a 2v1. And you can see Amador is pointing, right?
But to be fair, we have way more people in the box than they do to defend it.
That's right.
If it comes across.
They have 2 guys in the center against our 3, basically.
Yeah, the danger is Amador is doubled up.
Yeah. Yeah, can he get beat out there? Yeah. So, if he gets beat 2v1 quick out here and Abram has to step, then one of these guys could be open in the middle, sure. But he's pointing at Latte Loth to come help because it's 2v1 and he needs a second guy, which he does.
Now, what if Moyumba was there all along? Who's just,
just
standing at the top of the box going, what happened?
Easy. So they actually do a switcheroo because heel comes out wide and the guy who's out wide now underlaps and goes in the middle, which is a great move. And Latte Loth is not great getting whatever back, but it's,
I don't want Latte Loth.
Yes, that's the problem. Why do we want Latte Loth there to begin with? He should be up the field.
Is this one where he ends up fouling him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And, it was dumb because he fouled him while his back's turned to goal, too, I think, if my memory serves.
Right. So heel is just going to keep dribbling.
Yeah, why isn't that Moyumba that's back there? What is Moyumba doing?
Nothing. He didn't come over to read the danger. He's just standing in no man's land.
Yeah, he's just standing in no man's land.
Right. I mean, Sleaze.
He's literally just standing, watching.
Sleaze did a really good job of coming back to help protect the back two in case somebody has to go over. He's filling in, but then Muyumba's done nothing. And Sleaze has good defensive instincts. Muyumba, not so much. Muyumba's like people are like, he gets tackles. He's all action guy, and he is, but he doesn't, read it. He doesn't have the instincts. He just, when the play is around him, he'll work hard for it, but he doesn't know where to be. Anyway, so then he'll just starts dribbling. You can see Muyumba still doesn't come over, right? Which now means that Latte Loth. So Amador did the right thing, which is he stayed with him, and now he's come inside or whatever. Actually, if Latte Loth had never come to help, Amador probably would stay on this and win. But
and this is not that dangerous of a situation.
No. And he's going to dribble towards his own box. Now, one thing I will say in Latte Loth's defense, first of all, he should never be the guy defending in our box.
It's a bonehead foul.
But also, if you look at the foul, it was really soft. I mean, I think it's a foul, but it's a really soft foul.
But it's one that in any league, they're always going to call that.
Yeah,
I don't care what league.
Well, see the replay. So that looks like kind of bad, the way he went down.
Yeah, because he extended.
Yeah, but look at the replay.
He's used to being in the box, and it doesn't matter, though. He's extending, and he'd be
there you go. This is the one. Yeah. This is the angle right here from the back. Right. Now, this is not the referee's angle. This is our angle. So I think the referee got the bad angle, but look at that. I mean, he doesn't really almost touch him much at all. A little bit in the back.
Because he's our striker. He has no business doing that because he doesn't know. Because he's trying to take that exact gravy on the other side of the field. That's what he's good at.
Yeah.
Don't be back in our box doing that.
I mean, that's a dive.
Moyumba needed to be. Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for diving.
Don't blame him for diving
My take home on this is not that I think that it was a terrible penalty kick call. I think it's really soft.
Super soft.
But this is what, we've had this discussion about, what could you do to make soccer better? And this is where we've said you could make soccer better. The penalty area should be a place where you can call a penalty kick, but it shouldn't be have to call a penalty kick. There should be another option. He's going back towards his own goal. He wasn't fouled very hard. This should result in a free kick just outside the box.
Yeah. I would love if soccer did something like that.
It would be subjective, but all penalty kicks are subjective to begin with. So
and like the ones where people are like getting fouled as they cross and they're falling out by the touchline in the corner.
Or a handball where he's out wide but just inside the box, right?
Yeah.
And it's questionable whether it's a natural position or not,
But at the same time, like we did it to ourselves here.
Yeah, no,
there's no self-inflicted penalty kick that we gave away against their best player, by the way, Dave, is being marked by our striker.
Yeah, well, first of all, he wasn't being marked at all at the beginning of the play.
Correct. Yeah. And I think that is the damning part about this whole thing. This whole sequence that we just went through.
Yep. It's not just their best player. He's their only player, really.
Yes.
And there's only one guy you have to stop. They've only had scored 2 goals all season, and one was on a penalty kick. They've still only scored 3 goals all season, and now it's a second penalty kick. That's the only guy you have to mark. That's it.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Now, to be fair, so later in the game in the second half, We have a ball that's headed in the box, and it clearly hits the hand of the guy in the box. Now, whether it was in a natural position, maybe, but it would have been a soft penalty kick, in my opinion. Right. But that's a soft penalty kick, in my opinion. And so if you know, like,
I think in that case, what bothered me was that VAR didn't even say, "Hey, ref, go look at it."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so inconsistent in the MLS on that type of stuff. It drives me mad. Like, all right, I'm like, I don't even know. Like, because you got to let that decision, land in the referee and that's on the field to make that decision. He's in charge of those subjective calls, in my opinion.
And they didn't put it in the highlight package either.
Well, they know better.
Suspicious.
They know better.
So if you want to look at it, we can go look at it in the Apple TV. It's in the 67th
La Liga
minute.
probably did not put Mbappe's leg-breaking tackle in the highlight package.
That was
either.
a horrible challenge. All right.
They're like, just a yellow card and a 1-game suspension. No big deal.
Yeah. So I think, I like Ronnie Dyla the way he tried to, mix it up to get us more into an attacking, mode. The Cobb for Saba, we complained a lot that, Pineda's substitutions were so like automatic. It was like the same guy for the same position. There was no anything to it. And here he makes a very creative sub, which is a center back for a forward in a game that we're losing. And you're like, why is that? And it's so that now you can release the outside backs, which is an interesting move. And then furthermore, right, late in the game, he actually brings on yet another attacker, and he goes back to the forward to have another Tiare on the field without taking off Latte Loth. And Tiare comes in, makes an amazing header, which just boinks off the post.
So, Dave, here's the thing. How many games have we played? What's our record?
It's 8.
2 wins, 3 draws, and 3 losses.
You keep talking.
I think we're 2, 3, and 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Verify that. But I think that's worse than we started last year, if I'm not mistaken.
It's our worst start ever.
Worst start ever. Yet it is some of
2, 3, and 3. Correct.
Yeah, 2, 3, and 3. Now, for when you and I love watching and analyzing the game, and I think again the things that are standing out to me is that we are giving up goals that are individual bonehead mistakes versus letting the team march down the field because our tactics are giving a cushion.
Yeah, although you could say this one, leaving Hill out wide, is the first time you might have said that's maybe tactical, that they left him wide open. Maybe.
Maybe. That's fair. Because how does that happen? And how is Ronnie Dyla not screaming on the field, Moyamba, like, I'm taking you off in the next 5 minutes unless you are against.
Like when we had nobody marking Messi last year.
Right. Because, either
Sleaze
or Moyamba has to be completely on top of Carlos Heel.
Yep.
And that wasn't happening. And they were talking about in the commentary that, Dyla was getting out coached in that first half.
Yep.
Now, was he being out coached, or were people just was Moyamba not following the assignment? I don't know. We may never know. But the other thing is, we're creating chances. We have tons of players in the box in places that make the XG stat or whatever you want to call it.
They're there for rebounds.
They're there for rebounds.
Or really deflections and, cheap goals.
Yeah. The pinching in that we saw on that crossover up until the 5 seconds later where Amador does get beat over the top. But we're not pinched in. Nope. Like we're putting pressure on people and we're saying, hey, guys, come beat us.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we're getting beat, Dave.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Because our center back, Abram, sucks.
No, but it's not just that, right? Because
it's the main weakness.
It's the main weakness, but there's also everything changes in the game, and it would have changed in the first 10 minutes when Saba's bombing up the right side, right? And we literally had it was 6v3. And
you want to watch it?
I don't. I really don't. I don't want to watch it. I can just describe it to you. Saba bombing up the right side. We literally have 5 people marching into the box with only 2 defenders.
Yep.
And all he had to do was cut it back to 3 of our guys trailing. He tries to play the more flat ball across the center of the goal.
Out in front one. Yeah.
Out in front.
Yep.
Lower probability. Of course, I don't know if it was.
They all checked up. All 3 runners checked up.
Well, right, because of course they are. Because I mean, you can only have so many people like smash into the goal at that point.
Well, what I said is a little unlucky that all 3 checked up, and maybe they don't know each other that well because one should have kept going.
Now this is Saba's problem.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Saba
I don't
is
disagree
guilty of this for 3 years. Okay, on that type of decision making, not great.
Not great.
He's got a lot of other great attributes that I love, but that one right there is the difference of us winning and losing the game.
And one thing with Saba, I will say, is sometimes his decision making there is great. It's not always horrible, but sometimes it's not great. It's hit or miss. I don't think he's always
it's
bad.
more miss when it comes to
Maybe. But I think it's just inconsistent.
yes,
Inconsistent.
It's very inconsistent.
Yeah, I agree.
And the thing though with that play is for the 2-second window where we had so many people were checking back, it's like just put it on one of their foot.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, come on.
Let him have a go.
And then so okay, well that was bad decision making. And then I forget, I think Almiron slots it right into Latte Loth like a couple minutes later to give him a clear shot on goal, and Loth does
beautiful little ball.
And Loth does not finish it, which he should have finished that. And that is everything in a game like that. That 5-minute period up front would have changed the momentum and everything about that game. That's like 2 goals.
One thing that I would say about Latte Loth, in that he's a different kind of player, of course.
I haven't seen him score those goals clinically.
Yeah. Joseph Martinez would have given him the open hips and then faked it and gone the other way. And he just tried to pick out a spot and hit it.
He just went.
It wasn't sophisticated.
100%. He was not sophisticated.
It wasn't
at all.
terrible.
Wasn't
but
terrible.
It was not sophisticated.
And the goalkeeper made a nice save, but he just drilled it far post.
Yep.
And it was probably on target, which, by the way, I love. Because you can't score unless it's on frame.
Yep. Make him save.
Made the guy make a save. So I'm being a little like I don't have that much critique on the Latte Loth
I think
attempt
you gotta
there, but
score.
You got to score, right? Yeah. And Messi scores that. Like,
for sure. And I think Joseph Martinez that when the 2018 season he would have scored that every time.
Yeah.
Like he was so good at that.
Yeah. And I don't know that Almiron scores that either.
No, Almiron's not sophisticated at that either.
No. We don't have anybody that seems to be sophisticated in that nature.
Because I also would have said
Saba sure as hell isn't.
See, I mean, Latte Loth might have his own way of doing it, but the other thing he could have done is dip the shoulder and push it by him and try to dribble right around the keeper. Yeah. The keeper was coming out and taking out the angle. He could have gone by him and finished.
Particularly, get fouled too and
get
PK.
Fouled, PK for sure. Yeah, it wasn't sophisticated. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't.
It was direct power. Which, we'll see how it pans out. But I was very concerned as somebody who's played, knowing I've seen this movie before, and you and I are texting back and forth at that point. I was like, you make your own luck in situations like that. And I already knew at that point, Dave, in this game, the cards were not being played in our favor.
Well, so I want to talk about the offside goal. Okay. So in the 28th minute, there's Latte Loth goes out wide. He crosses it, right? And the defender clearly tries to clear it, and he shanks it. And he shanks it right to Amador, who is offside. Not by much, but clearly offside, right?
But if it's a defensive player who shanks it, it's a play off the defender.
Yeah, and he tried to play it. And we can go watch the clip if you want.
Did he try? Did he touch it, though?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was clearly. So you want to go to the highlights? You can see.
They went to VAR, right?
Yeah. So not only that, not only did he try to shank it to them, so then Amador plays it all the way across. They clear the header, actually.
I think we've all seen it. Everybody watched the game. Like, I know.
Yeah, you go back. New England clears the header, right? And then it goes to Lennon, who cuts it back to Almiron, who bends it in the corner for a goal.
What a world!
Nobody is complaining about anything. No. New England is like, we just gave up a goal.
VAR.
Because it was you're like, how do you call it offside when they clear it, right? We win the ball. out wide, play it backwards, and then he shoots it with 3 guys in front of him. How is that offside?
Yeah.
So there are two things that you could have said on that play. One, that clearly the defender tried to play the ball, and if he tries to play the ball actively and plays it, then it's not offside.
Yep.
And 2, it could even have been called another phase of play because New England had a chance to clear it. They headed it. They happened to head it. Now, that's a little bit more technical because you said if there was a clear offside in that buildup, maybe.
Yeah.
But VAR was not created for that bullshit.
Yeah. Now
It was not created for that.
That's the wrong button.
He's heating up.
See, we miss you, Carmen. Dave can't even get the heated up button. But I'm heated up. I was very heated up.
I mean,
during this
that
game.
is shambolic. That is VAR interfering in a place where it never should have.
Yep. I mean,
Come on.
but
Come on.
at that point, we're not winning this game. We've seen the movie. And you were still optimistic because rightfully so, right? Because we're doing all the right things, Dave. We're pressing, we're recycling the ball, creating opportunities. It happened over and over again. We really did not look vulnerable in the second half at all that I can recall.
No, they had a penalty kick call, and they had 2 long shots in the first half, both by Gill. They were all from like 30 yards.
Did they have a penalty kick?
Yeah, we just showed the penalty kick. That was from this game where Latte Loth brought it down.
Oh, right.
That's how they scored.
Yeah. But
That's their goal.
yeah.
It wasn't on a shot.
Yeah.
It was off a penalty kick.
Was that second half?
No, that was first half.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Second half.
Oh, second half. They didn't have a shot in the whole second half.
I was like, second half, they were not threatening at all.
Nothing.
Yeah. We dominated the second half. You and I are texting, but I'm like, it's not enough. And what is it that's not enough, Dave?
Yeah, we had another offsides goal called back, which was offside, but it was super lucky, right? So there was a corner kick. It's headed back across by Amador. Latte Loth turns and finishes. You would see a goal every time. But the weird thing is they didn't have a guy on the post, and then when the guy was fronting
the
him.
defender did a great job of fronting him.
They said that. I think that is total luck.
Agreed.
It wasn't. He wasn't doing that on purpose to get him offside.
No, but
he was just trying to win the ball.
But he did get in front of him.
Yeah, and it was clearly
him
offside.
Half a body offside. Yeah.
Then we had in the 67th minute, it was headed back across. It comes off the New England player's hand, no VAR, right? And then even after that, New England goalkeeper, when it came off his hand, right? So even they didn't call a handball on that. The goalkeeper made an amazing save on that.
Yeah.
It would have been an own goal, right?
Yeah.
But he reached out and, you know how he was going one way and go the other way that Guzan can't do?
Yeah.
That's what he did. And he went back and he got it with a strong palm, right? And then, right, Tiare comes on in injury time. He hits the post. That's the second time we hit the post. We had 2 goals called back for offside. We had no penalty on the clear one that hit his hand. We had 2 hit the post, right? I mean, it's unbelievable we didn't score. You want to know what the XG in this game was? And this is,
do tell.
You're an analytics guy, right? Guess. What do you think the XG? So I just said we hit the post twice. We had 2 goals called back for weird offsides, plus many, many other dangerous chances like Latte Loth threw on goal. Miranchuk had a back heel that the goalkeeper knew nothing about. It happened to hit him and go right inside the 6. He back-heeled it, and there was 2 guys in front of him, but it went by him, and it hit the goalkeeper who knew nothing about
What's
it.
What's the XG? 3.5? What do you got?
Well, you're guessing 3.5, right? I would have said 3.5. The XG on that was 2.6.
Oh, wow.
Because they do all this stuff. They say, well, it doesn't count. Like, for example, the goal from Almiron, I think, counts as 0.
Yeah, well, that's...
Because they're like, well, he wasn't expected goal because he was offside. But, Actually, there was a very good chance that the referee would have said that wasn't offside because it came off the defender. So the XG should have been.
That's tainted analytics.
Yeah, exactly. It should have been 1, I would have said, or at least maybe even if you said for a little bit off for VAR or something, it should be 0.8.
Yeah.
But it doesn't account for that. That's why I'm saying the computer's struggling for that, right?
So, but Dave, the Dallas game, right? We tied.
They also, the other thing that's crazy.
Do you remember
you know what their XG was?
What's
they
that?
get 1 for the penalty kick. They get a 1
Yeah.
for that penalty kick, so that's 1. And they had 2 long shots. They give them 0.74 extra for that. It was 1.74. I don't see that. So if you played that game, so XG should be the kind of thing where if you played the game 10 times, it should come out to that on average.
Do you know what I saw from them was from Revolution was ex Carlos Heel.
Yeah.
That was the only threatening thing.
And it should have been a 0 because he got 1 weak penalty kick.
Yeah.
If you played that game 10 times in a row, we would have probably averaged 3 goals in that, and they would have averaged less than 1, close to 0.
Yeah. And Dyla did not address that. He needed to sort that out from the sidelines fast enough to be like, why is Carlos Heel not getting marked up?
And he could have sorted it out before the penalty kick.
Yes.
Because
So
that play.
definitely a knock on him on that because that's a sideline adjustment that could have been made on being like, dude, why is this guy terrorizing us? We need to put some pressure.
That
on him.
happened in the 30-something minute, right? And so.
And he was already killing us at that point.
So that's a long time not to have made that adjustment.
Yeah.
Now, would Pineda have made that adjustment? No way.
Yeah.
Right? He would have been terrible. So, failing to make that adjustment, a great coach should do it. But
All right. The Dallas game, if my prediction was right, I predicted a 5-0 win for Atlanta in that. Way off.
Yeah,
it was
way
a 1-1 draw.
1-1.
And we didn't show any
No, we didn't really
chops
show that.
for the 5 goals that I was predicting.
No.
Because that's the
we
thing.
should have
that-
won the game, but not 5.
How are we not just killing teams with all the power that we have?
Well,
Dave?
to be fair, so what I would have said is, so if you look at the last 3
against
games.
a mediocre and bad team.
But if you look at the last 3 games, you say, look, we scored 4 goals in the great 4-3 comeback. There we did score 4 goals.
Yeah.
Right? Then in the Dallas game, we didn't quite all click. I think probably in most games in that thing, we probably would have scored a second, but we were good for 1.5, 2. We were kind of unlucky to give up the 1. I think we should have probably still won either 1-0 or 2-1. Right? Something like that. But it wasn't a great offensive display. And then coming back in this third game, they easily could have scored 3, right? Against New England, right? So you would have said, we did score 4. We probably should have scored 3 or 4 in this game. And in the middle game, we only should have scored 1 or 2. So it's kind of, whatever, but like, it's coming.
I will say, though, okay,
Yep.
the team is missing.
Yeah, what is it missing?
It is missing a little of that gel of like urgency. Like there needed to be an urgency in that Rev game earlier, and just to create the energy that we needed to score. Right? Like we looked threatening. Yeah, we didn't even allow them any real chances in the second half. But did you really see a team that was hell bent on being like, this is do or die? We're at home in a 3-game home stretch where we got to freaking tie this game and then win it at all costs. Because
But what does that look like? What does it mean? Us keeping them in their end more?
Well, I don't
does
know.
it mean a guy in the box doing more?
I don't know. I don't know. Like we played on teams where you try to figure that out.
Yeah.
On why is this not working? We have so much talent. We're better than this team, and you still end up losing and can't figure it out. Is it because of the chemistry of the leadership between like someone on the back line like Gregerson or Almiron that needs to, like Almiron should be the guy, right, that turns this type of game, right? So, he's the guy we paid for, Dave, to turn a game like that, and he didn't do it. So, like, if we're being fair, like, to me, we have to be critical of Miguel Almiron doing more in the game against the Revolution.
But is him curling the ball in the far post not doing it?
Yeah, I mean that is a fantastic shot, but I need more, especially when that gets erased. Okay, and that was earlier on that he needs to do more.
Yep.
And let me ask you, did you see more after that got erased
From Almiron?
From Almiron. Did you see an extra gear from him to change the urgency on the team as the leader with a captain band to make that happen?
Well, no, but what one of the things I think about when I see that, what I think you're getting at is, I think most people would say it's effort. I don't think it's effort. I think that they played hard. That wasn't the problem, and we dominated.
I don't think
so
it's
much.
effort either.
I think what I would call it is game-winning plays. Right? When you have really good players, you make game-winning plays, right? So that means the offensive guy who gets a goal that maybe you didn't deserve, right? Steals one, right? But it also means the defensive guy who steals a goal against and blocks a goal that he shouldn't have, okay? So I think defensively, we don't have guys that make game-winning plays. We don't have any classy defenders who really make game-winning. You could maybe say Gregerson, like the one where he recovered and made the really cool block. That was like, you could have said as a game-winning play. Now they scored right after that because nobody else helped him, right?
But don't you need a guy that's on the field communicating to all of the players to be like, guys, we need to go. It needs to happen now. So it's not a lack of effort, but it's a collective understanding that the moment is now.
Yeah.
And that happens in these little trickle of like who your guy is, right? Be like, and that gets cascaded.
Sometimes it's a guy who wills the team. I mean, the old Man United, it was Roy Keane kind of thing.
Right. And I feel like we're missing that. And it is a new group, right? And everybody's trying to maybe be too nice, but we need a guy that is a Roy Keane.
But in the modern era, a lot of these teams that do really well, the Manchester Cities, the Liverpools, whatever, do they have that guy? They have a lot of guys tactically that make game-winning plays, They don't have the guy who just wills you to win, per se, do they?
Yeah. Like some of them, like let's take Liverpool.
Is it on Man City?
Like Liverpool. Let's take Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who would you pick on their team? Who's wielding them?
To me, it would be when that would be Van Dijk. I think is the guy who's making defensive plays and 100%. Willing you to win.
I think I think they have a couple. So they got Van Dijk out of the back, who is mandating a certain benchmark of how they deal with trouble.
Yep.
And push it up the field. And then up
you
front,
Mo Salah.
you have a guy who's quietly leading by example, which is like, if I don't, and Almiron does that.
Do we have an MLS Mo Salah on this team? Not obviously we don't have Mo Salah, but you don't
the
have
only
to be.
person you could compare there is Miguel Almiron. I mean, his
what
style.
About Latte Loth?
No,
I mean it's a different position, but a guy who can go get you a goal, out of nothing.
Sure, I agree. Like in terms of
they're not the same player.
Not the same player, different part of the field. But yes, I think that comparison.
And Latte Loth has a couple of times on this season gone and got us a goal
that's unexpected.
And the other thing I would say,
not on the XG chart, right?
And there are a number of times where there's like a rebound or whatever that he quickly gets to it and he hammers the ball. Yeah. He makes good contact, and he's gonna score some of those.
Yeah. So who do we have next? We're going to Philadelphia next?
Going away to Philadelphia.
Okay.
But I want to keep on this moment for a second. So the game-winning plays, I think defensively we don't have it. Like if you're going to compare to Liverpool, we don't have the Van Dijk. We don't have an MLS. We don't have Van Dijk. But we don't even have an MLS Van Dijk.
I will say though, I do really like Gregerson as our poor man's obvious, Van Dijk.
But the other guy next to him has to be decent.
Yes,
doesn't have to be great. And I think you're playing. Is it possible Gregerson is a little bit MLS Van Dijk? Maybe, could be. Not really, but maybe. The problem is he's paired to a guy who keeps hurting the defense. Mm-hmm. And to me, what this season is going to hinge on is actually not. I think we're gonna have some rocky roads offensively. We'll get to this in a second. I think we have guys who make winning plays offensively enough, maybe not perfect, but enough. I think this season is going to hang on one thing and one thing only, which is how long it takes for Ronnie Deila to replace Abram. Now, obviously, he wasn't playing to begin with. It was Williams, who's better. But when is he going to make the move, let's say, to Cobb?
Yeah, well, we don't want to see Williams or Abram. And I think
Williams is better than Abram, but he's still not good.
Do you think so?
He's better than Abram. but he's not good.
No, I'm
not
saying,
kidding.
no. I'm saying, but Cobb is better than Williams in our mind.
I think so. I mean, is he young and going to make more mistakes? Maybe, but I think overall he's better.
Yeah, and paired with Gregerson,
Yeah.
who's going to be able to yell at him.
That's the move I would
feel,
make.
feel like a mentor to him.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Gregerson's not going to yell at Williams, who's like an MLS vet at this point, right? Like,
Yep.
there's a little more. But whereas, like, I feel like Gregerson could be like, dude, do this, do that, and that would actually pair up better in the center to have a younger guy led by a more senior Gregerson to be like, dude, do this.
Yep.
And
I
learn
think
learn from your mistakes.
also in some critical games against good teams, I think that you might, if Cobb was playing that regular, I would go with Edwards over Lennon for defensive.
Yeah.
And Lennon could still play if he wanted. He could be the right in the front three, or he could come off the benches. You know, Lennon doesn't have to play every minute of every game. He can be rotated a little bit. And if we're on the road against a really good team, I would start with Edwards at right back. I'd start with Gregerson. I would start with Cobb, and I would start with Amador. Amador to me is classy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is his first game. He made a mistake, whatever, but classy.
All right.
But offensively, game-winning plays.
So-
Latte Loth looks like he can do it. I think Miranchuk is an enigma because you might say, yes, he can sometimes spring the ball, which is a game-winning play. But actually, in terms of finishing, I think, especially in the box, his finishing is not so good. So I think the guy who has to step up and be the second game-winning play is Al Marone and maybe Saba, right? One of those guys has got to step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think what we're seeing offensively from this team is a rocky, a little bit getting to go, whatever. But if you look at the early games, we weren't really scoring at all. Then we scored 4. We didn't have a great one. We scored 1. This game, I know we scored 0, but we really should have scored 3. I think it's coming. It's going to be really inconsistent offensively. But defensively, I don't think that we have it yet.
No, I agree. We don't have it defensively with Abram and shoring up who our trusted back line is. And I'm happy with, we obviously called out the Muyumba floating there against Carlos. But in general, it seems like our center mid is with Sleece, and even Fortune coming in has played okay.
I think he's also too stuck on the double pivot. I would have said, let Sleaze be the single pivot and let him go. Let Sleaze be Sleaze because he's just going or whatever. And then just make sure that the two guys in front of him, there is a little bit of defense in front of him. So, like, if we're playing a really good team, you probably don't want Al Marone and Miranchuk because it's too offensive. Yeah. Maybe you want a Muyumba as one of those attacking guys, or even a Fortune, right, as one of those attacking guys, right? But in a game at home against a weaker team, you would just play Sleaze and you play Miranchuk and Al Marone and boom, go after him.
Yeah.
Right? So just give us a little more defense in a tough game on the road. And again, that's where you would use the whole squad, have a role for those people. Yeah. And I think Muyumba as an attacking midfielder playing defense out of an attacking midfield, or Fortune, same thing, is really good.
Yeah.
I think where he struggles is in the double pivot.
So,
but why do we need a double pivot?
How many games are so we're 6?
Or the other guy who can play some defense is Cleek in there, a little bit more defensive as an attacking midfielder.
Dave, we played 8 games.
8.
Right?
Yep.
And worst start ever.
Worst start ever.
And
although, to be fair, usually we start a little better under Pineda and then we get really bad. Yeah. So
our analysis is obviously a better team, a better tactics and approach that should be yielding better results, but it's not happening.
Yeah. So how's your what do we call it? The frustration?
The worry meter.
The
right?
worry meter.
The worry meter started off in what, week 1?
I was 1 and
2?
you were 2.
We're 1 and 2, and then I went to 3, and then went to 4. And
how's your worry meter now?
I am at a solid 6.
Okay.
And because we're 8 games in the season, because every soccer team has to gel, and this is a season we're marching towards almost a third of the way through the season.
Yes, we are. about a third to a quarter to a third.
Yeah. So I am very concerned that the results you are what you eat, and where results are what they are, and we can keep.
I guess we're only a quarter, but anyway, go ahead.
Okay, only a quarter, but like you said in the text to me, that
We've had a lot of home games.
and we've had a lot of home games. MLS is a very, very forgiving league, but now we're going to be on the road, which MLS is not a very forgiving league on the road. So now we've got to go against the wind, and we have to get some results in this away stretch, in my opinion, even in a forgiving league, to really position ourselves, in the critical part of the season to be in a high playoff caliber position. We want to be in the top 4 at minimum.
Yeah, top 4 I think is necessary to win it.
Yeah.
Although, our team to me reminds me a little bit of some of those Seattle teams that got rolling in the second half and really moved up the table and ended up winning the title. I still think my worry meter is only at a 3. It really is. I think because if this were a regular league like the Premier League, where you have to finish first, you have to finish in the top 4 to get Premier League to get a Champions League spot.
Of course,
my worry meter would be way higher. But the MLS is so forgiving.
You'd be at 10.
You just got to get the playoffs at some level. So worst case scenario, and we get it rolling really late in the second half, and we kind of get it super rolling to only get to the 7th playoff spot or something. Right? We're still super dangerous. We go into the playoffs having won, 8 out of 9 or something or whatever. You can run. You have to go on the road. But the first round, you don't. The first round, as we found out, you get at least one home game, like when we beat Messi.
Yeah.
I think it's so forgiving that we can't have the worry meter yet. And I said that we were going to have a rocky start. We have. I was hoping we didn't. I'd hope we get off a better start. But I still think it's coming.
There's just so much talent. There's so much from the watching of what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. That I agree with you as much as we text back and we're how is this not going our way? I know. It's just in the moment, it is so incredibly frustrating to deal with this as an Atlanta United fan who's been through so much over the last 5 years that, you have to be skeptical, even though you and I agree that there's a different coach, there's a different level of talent, there's a different level of how we're getting beat right now. I just have to see something change, Dave, in the next stretch of games.
It's the center back.
That gives me belief.
The question is, how long does it take to switch the center back?
The whole season of Atlanta United is hinging on Abram.
I think so. I mean, it could it be Williams comes back and Williams plays better? Maybe. He might be just good enough with Gregerson, but I think ultimately, if we're going to go on the kind of run we need, we've got to get the center back short. I mean, so first of all, we're going to get better no matter what, because Amador is a huge upgrade. Right? I think he's going to get comfortable.
So he definitely played some games early on in the season. 100%.
Do we have a Atlanta United? You keep talking. I'll look it up.
You look it up. But I am almost positive we got some action from Amador early on.
Want to make a bet?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how many games do you think he's played?
I don't know. I just know he played early on in the season.
Okay, that's what you
I don't know how many games, but he played. And he started. And he definitely started games earlier on in the season before he got injured.
And I say no.
And you say no. And I will.
What's our bet for?
Oh, a nice bottle of wine, because I have one over there. and even if I lose, I win. Come on. Oh, should we ask Gemini? Here we go. We're going to ask our friend Gemini and find out whether Gemini. We haven't gone to our artificial intelligence lately, Dave.
I think you win. I have it.
Yeah. Hold on. This is Gemini. So, Gemini is our friend here on the ATL on Fire podcast. And hey, Gemini, how you doing?
I think you won.
Gemini.
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm ready to help you with anything you need. What
Great.
can I do for you today?
I am trying to understand how many games for Atlanta United FC Amador has started in 2025.
I couldn't find exactly how many games Amador has started, but I did find that he's a left back for Atlanta United FC
All right.
and has played in 20
You're
games.
useless. We'll come back to you later. Thanks. All right. So that's where we're going to keep asking the AI what they know, and not a lot of information about starting stats.
It says that he's played 4 games. He's had 4 starts,
Yeah.
338 minutes. So you're correct. I lose that bet.
I felt pretty confident about that one.
Yeah, so I guess he played early.
Because
And
remember
then,
we talked about how classy he was in many moments, and then he got injured. And
He got
then we're
injured.
like, oh no.
yeah, I know he didn't play. I guess I was confused because I know he didn't play in the preseason.
Yep.
And then so he didn't have a lot of whatever, and then he got hurt. Yeah. Anyway, so I think Amador playing consistently is a huge upgrade, and that will help us tremendously. But I still think the center back pairing, the other center back, is critical. Right.
All right. I'm just trying to pull up what
Schedule.
the standings are here.
We're way down.
What are we? 11th place.
11th. But you know the ironic part, right? Where does the playoff end, Mikey Dobbs? You see the playoff line?
9th.
9th.
No,
So that's 2 points.
Everybody gets
3 points off a playoff spot.
an
So we're
orange
one
and a
win
trophy.
off a playoff spot. So that's what I'm saying. It's so forgiving.
U.S. soccer.
So forgiving. It's pathetic.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not endorsing this,
No.
but it's pathetic.
All right. So
Philadelphia is supposed to suck. They've had a good start, but their team is terrible. They just sold everybody. Right? We're playing on the road. So what's your prediction?
I think we lose against Philadelphia. Yeah. 1-0.
And I'm gonna go win on the road. I think getting out of Atlanta, this team needs just a little bit, like a change of scenery, a little bit. Philadelphia, I think, is way overrated. I know their coach has done a really good job. Their coach is the old St. Louis coach,
Okay.
and he's got them rolling like he had St. Louis the first year.
Yeah.
But of course, St. Louis imploded the second year. Yeah. And I just think that the squad's not very good.
Yeah. So some fresh scenery against
Yeah.
an inferior team. I mean, like the thing is, like we know Atlanta United's talent
Yeah.
is second to none,
Yeah.
except for the back line with Abram.
Yeah.
So do we?
But to go on the road, you need to be able to score goals. If you're
So
gonna
do
win
we
on
go
the road.
3 in the back against Philadelphia, just right from the get go? And if we
Oh,
do,
that's interesting.
what's the 3 in the back?
I mean, if it's 3 in the back, Gregerson is clearly the starting,
Because
center.
if you have Amador and Lennon bombing up, and you got Gregerson,
Presumably, if Williams is still not available, it would be what he went to in this game, which is Cobb and Abram on the either side of Gregerson. Not good.
not good with Abram there.
No, because Abram is then covering the whole left side of the back.
What about Hernandez?
I think he just has not looked himself.
No.
He doesn't inspire confidence in me right now.
Yeah.
I don't have confidence in him right now. I wouldn't because so you might say, okay, look, going on the road or whatever. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it in
What
the back.
about? I mean, think
in
about-
the midfield.
What do you think about Hernandez and Amador paired up on that side with the 5 in the back kind of situation?
I wouldn't do it. I would go 4 in the back. To me, I would. I might think about playing Edwards instead of Lennon, but it would be Gregerson, Cobb, and Amador for sure.
Count.
And then one thing I might change to being on the road, I would have played Sleaze as the only guy. I don't like to double pivot for our team. I don't think we have 2 guys that just get in the way. What I might do is instead, so right now, I think our best team is Sleaze in the defensive midfield, and then 2 of the 3 of Cleek and Miranchuk and Almiron in front of him, right? But going on the road against a good team, I would have played it a little bit more defensive. So I probably would have had Cleek as one of them, as not in a double pivot, but as in front of him playing. And you could even go really defensive with Cleek and Muyumba in front of Sleaze. But then you just have the 3 guys across the front, which are really good. So you still have Latte Loth. You still have, I would say to me, Al Marone, right? And then in that case, you would say either Saba or Miranchuk is the right. Now, I probably would have said Cleek is enough defensively, and I probably would have had Miranchuk. And then I would still play with Al Marone on the left, Saba on the right, and Latte Loth up top. Yep. And really go after them. This is his number one starting lineup that he started with, like, clearly. I think the difference being that I would have played it a little bit different tactically. Instead of playing Cleek and Sleaze in the Polish pivot, I would have played Cleek as an attacking midfielder who plays defense.
Okay.
And only play one Sleaze as the true defensive midfielder, and Cleek and Miranchuk would always be trying to fill in on the backside.
Gotcha. But in a situation where you have a Carlos Gil or a Messi, extremely talented attacking player, what do we need to do in terms of that example where
man mark him?
You got to man mark him, right? Yeah. So is that a situation where or Sleaze has to stay on top of him?
The obvious guy to man mark would be Muyumba. He's athletic enough to do it, or even Fortune.
Which was at that, and that's what amazed me about the Rev game.
He just wasn't playing that role.
Why? I mean, he's the guy to match up athletically against a Carlos Gil.
Yep.
And yet he was just
shut him down.
So away from him.
Right.
How is that happening?
And we don't need Muyumba offensively in that game at all.
That's clearly a Ronnie Dyla situation, right? Because if he's that far off, like, you sub him off the field, like, you're obviously not listening to me if that was his assignment, right?
Well,
so I think that's a tactical error by Dyla.
I think Ronnie Dyla is like, our team is so good, they should adjust to us and not to them. We haven't done that yet. We're not that good yet. So maybe, because there's always this push and pull as a coach, right? Do you adjust to other team, or do you make them adjust to you?
I don't know. Like, you have to account for the best player on the entire team. I think
in this case, when you have one guy and he's the only guy, then
you have to man mark him.
Absolutely.
So I felt like that's a little bit of an ego trip from Dyla if he missed that.
Sure.
And it was clear as hell in that game that we didn't do it.
Or, even you want to be like, whatever, just put Edwards as the other midfielder. He could man mark anybody out of the game. I mean, he showed that against
100% great man marker. And even if you like
Charlotte game,
even like if you're like told Williams to, be on top of him, that's all you have to do.
But the guy who's the most athletic, good defensive guy is Edwards. If you're really going to man mark, that's the guy. Even against Messi, I'd put him, just man mark him.
Agreed.
That's the guy.
All right. So
your prediction against Philadelphia is
1-0 loss.
1-0 loss.
They've got to, again, I don't want it to be that.
And I'm going to go 2-1 win.
I need to see a 2-1 win before my heart starts to change.
I still think, even with their ups and downs and whatever, mostly this team at the end of the season, and we might have to discount the first.
The thing is, Dave, is it doesn't matter what team we're going up against.
Yeah.
I feel in my heart right now we are the better team.
Yes. And we should be able to score 2 goals on the road and 3 goals at home.
That's the frustrating part right now. Is like anybody who's saying, oh, we don't have the talent, we don't have the coaching. Like, I'm seeing enough from, other than the weakest link in the back. Like, there's enough for us to be doing way better than we're doing.
And even tactically, we're winning the ball up the field, which creates these great chances. The 2 things that you see of teams that are struggling to score is you see they don't winning the ball up the field, so they don't get really easy chances. And you see when they get balls into the box, there's one guy in the box. So it has to be perfect. These coaches go, why did the one guy score? Well, sometimes it deflects whatever you need, 3, 4, 5 guys in the box. But we have that every time.
Yeah. And the thing about soccer, though, is just not fair sometimes. It also makes no sense sometimes.
Right. And the short term.
Over
the long term, usually it makes some sense.
I agree. If we stay healthy,
I'm
with you. I am patient enough to understand that the tide has to turn, right? Like, I mean, based on what I am observing with the way that the team is tactically playing, the healthy players that we please stay on the field,
healthy, yeah.
stay healthy, that even on the road, even in this 2-game stretch on the road.
But we even have, in a tight game, we have a Silva and a Tiare coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, are they doing it? And yeah, Tiare came right in, he get in the 84th minute, and he got an amazing header that doinked off the puck. You're like, I mean, it's just, come on. My point being that, like, so here's the thing. If you're really cynical, you don't like the ATL on fire, you think that we're full of, crap, right? You would have said, look, when Pineda had all of this, and he kept saying, look, we have more possession, we have more XG, it's coming. And we kept saying, no, it's not really coming. And the reason why is we were getting, like, he kept talking about those dangerous Lennon crosses, but there was nobody on the end of them.
Dude, I cannot remember. That's what's so refreshing about me being frustrated this season on the podcast.
Yeah.
As we've looked at this video, it is so different than the last 3 years of video review on the tactical board and all of it. It truly is a different situation that we are encountering.
Even in terms of our chances, we're hitting the post routinely.
Yeah.
And we were not hitting the post routinely in those Pineda errors when he was like, oh, we have all these XG, right?
No, to your point, like, it's a matter of numbers in the box. It's just like
we weren't having goals called back for offside.
I was like, there's 5 people in the box.
Yes.
And then there's another 2 trailing outside the box.
And we're turning them back over after they win it. Like,
it's a different beast. I get it.
It's frustrating that it hasn't clicked yet, but
obviously with my 1-0 loss, I'm still skeptical.
Yeah, until you see it.
Because I also
you're like, prove it, bastards.
Well, because there is, and I don't call it intensity. It's not intensity.
Yeah.
It's not effort.
Yep.
There is chemistry on teams, though.
Yep.
And it requires leadership to demand a team go to a next level of focus to get through the situation that they're in, because they are better than what's happening.
And if you were going to be the criticism, right? So what's the legit criticism? Not the, we're not working hard enough criticism. The legit criticism is, you would say, Miranchuk, Almiron, Saba, maybe even Silva, they're all kind of the same player, creative, can do stuff, but none of them are finishers, right? And you're like, on this team, where's this, if you look at great teams, there's a goal scorer. Like, look at our 2018 team, right? It was Martinez as the goal scorer, and then we had 2 guys as secondary goal scorers, Villalba and Almiron. And who's our secondary goal scorer?
So here's where I disagree. This is Major League Soccer, and Miranchuk and Almiron are finishers in the MLS.
Well, yeah, they haven't quite shown it. Miranchuk hit the bar.
Well, when
Almiron scored and it got called back.
You take it back, but I mean, Miranchuk clearly has the capability when he's got the 1 second to look up.
Yep.
He needs the time.
Yep.
I don't think Miranchuk is the type of player who's going to like create the half an inch for himself and then score it. He does need the time, but he's got the class to put it where it needs to when he's got the opening.
Yep.
That's the type of goal he's going to score. Almiron, I mean, he can do it. He just needs to find. I mean, in October of 2022, goal scorer of the EPL. I mean, that guy was on fire. He can do it.
And I love Miranchuk being encouraged to play a deep liar role, but not as a true double pivot. Like, so where if you say, okay, look, they're double pivot and Sleaze has to be on the right and Miranchuk is on the left, I don't think so. But it's fine to say, look, Sleaze is the solo pivot. He's the defensive guy. But Miranchuk doesn't need to be that far forward. He can be a deep-lying playmaker. He can be in those gaps. Even Click can do the same thing, right? And then that spaces so that Almiron and Saba and even a Silva can run in those open spaces. So I'm okay saying, if I were coaching Miranchuk, I would say, I want you a little deep lying as an attacking midfielder. And that's okay. And then your job is, when we get to the final 18, to be arriving late to make sure when that ball pops out, it's on your left foot and bend it in the corner. Yeah. But I don't need you at the 6.
Yeah. So, Dave.
Yeah.
rumors. Kevin De Bruyne coming to MLS in the summer to Inter Miami. You think that's
they have his rights.
fact or fiction?
One thing that's
MLS,
total freaking crap.
they've got dibs on it.
What kind of league has you pay some TAM or freaking GAM and you have the buyer's rights? Like in the Premier League, nobody has a first right to refusal. It's an open effing market. Right? What are we doing?
They need to get rid of that rule.
Yes, gone. Like nobody should spend.
It made sense 20 years ago.
Maybe because they wanted to really distribute and make sure that nobody got whatever. Blah blah blah.
They need to get rid of that.
Gone.
Right.
Total crap. Because I think they have a problem in that.
Yeah,
De Bruyne.
When we wanted Almiron, we had to Jockey for Charlotte.
Charlotte had his
and
first and we had to pay him a little bit.
He doesn't want to go to Charlotte. Obviously, he wants to come to Atlanta United if he's going to come back.
And I think Miami has a problem. People are like, "Oh, he's going to Miami because they have the first right of refusal." But I think in the salary cap, they don't have a way to sign him unless he's really willing to take nothing. Like it might be just to play awesome.
Well, I think maybe they'll sacrifice one of the others.
In an open market, there is zero chance that De Bruyne would be going to Miami.
Yeah, get rid of who's the other DP in Miami? So you got Suarez and Messi, and who else?
And
Busquets.
They've always had 4 for 3, right? Because they got Alba, Busquets, Suarez, and Messi, and only 3 can be designated players. Right. One of them's not.
But I would get rid of Busquets or Alba for De Bruyne. I mean, come on. See you later. Have a good flight.
I think just Busquets to me is,
or even Suarez to some degree. I mean, not that he's not putting up numbers.
De Bruyne is a way better player.
He's gonna smoke the MLS.
Yes.
I mean, he's Messi level. So you basically have Kevin De Bruyne 3 years ago, you would say was the best player in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 years ago, the best player in the world,
and he's still
combined
amazing.
with the other best player in the world.
His only problem has been his inability to stay on the field.
Yeah, and
when he's on the field,
and can you imagine? I mean, the setups between De Bruyne and Messi. I mean, that's like cheat mode on Nintendo. Up, left, right, left, right.
Well, the
up,
interesting
down.
thing about also on Miami, so De Bruyne tends to. So what he's good at he drops in those pockets and he plays through balls. And one thing I think about it, like him feeding Latte Loth would be amazing. But actually, Suarez used to make that run. He's a freaking old man now. He doesn't make that run. He just scores cheeky goals in the box. Messi can still do it, but Messi likes to be that deep lying, late arriving. I actually don't think he fits Miami's team at all.
De Bruyne?
I mean, now he's a classy player that's going to create no matter what. But I think he could be a much better player at a different team.
Oh, sure, maybe. If he had Latte Loth to pick out and Miguel Almiron running and Saba,
guys running in front of him
and
with
Silva,
pace.
he'd be of course he would just be if you put him in for Marinchuk, right, and be like bye Marinchuk, sure.
Or LAFC, that team has a bunch of attacking players,
but it doesn't matter, man. That guy's so good.
I agree.
It doesn't matter what the pace of Messi and Suarez is. It can be snail pace, and he's gonna be like, I am adjusting to snail pace, and I gotcha.
I'm gonna predict though he doesn't end up at Miami.
Are you?
Yep. I'm gonna predict he comes to MLS, but not to Miami.
Where would he go then? LAFC or
LA
Galaxy? Those are the only two choices.
Probably.
I don't think so. I think you're wrong. I'm gonna say it's Miami.
Now, are you willing to go like one of those stupid bets where you take Miami versus the rest of the league?
Well, I mean, what's the bet?
Bottle of wine.
Bottle of wine.
Can win back the bottle that I just lost early on.
Well, no, I am already about to lose another bottle of wine with our Nottingham Forest.
It's not yet.
Not yet, but
They're still ahead.
I always knew that was a long shot. But I still,
if you're listening, you don't remember. We're talking about Nottingham Forest versus Man City, who is going to finish higher in the table. I have Man City. Mikey Dobbs has Nottingham Forest, and Nottingham Forest has been ahead of Man City for forever now. But Man City keeps coming, and they're now only 2 points behind with 4 to
this
go.
last weekend really was a dagger.
Yeah,
but it's at least an exciting bet. Even though I like taking the underdog losing bets because that's what makes this podcast fun.
Yeah. So are you going to take Miami versus the rest of the MLS?
On the De Bruyne?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll take that bet.
You know I'm going to take the bet.
It's not a good bet for me because usually when I make the bets, it's about like soccer.
Yeah.
Right. Tactics, football, knowing players. This has nothing to do with anything. It's like executive and MLS rules. If anybody has an advantage on this bet, it's you who knows the rules of MLS better than anybody.
That's hilarious. I do not. No one knows the rules.
Nobody knows the rules, but you know the rules better.
And by the time 2025 summer, I don't know, maybe they'll change the rules.
Did you notice that they came out and said they're not going to the change in season for the league through 2027. So remember I told you that I thought they were going to do it right out of the World Cup? Right now it's looking like it's going to be the next year. Like maybe they'll announce it after the World Cup, but it will be one more year.
Got you. That makes sense but
they voted not to do it through 2027. I think.
Because that would have been they would almost had to announce it now if they were going to do it so that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's what the vote was. They were like, "Are we going to do it now?"
Yeah, it's like you got to do it now if you're going to do it. And they're like, "We're not ready, so we're going to do it the year after."
They pushed it off.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I think it's still coming. Yeah, or maybe a year or even
that makes total sense. But but I hate the delay because it's a smart move.
Come on,
smart move. All right, now any other European soccer you want to talk before we close this out, or have we talked about it all?
Man United sucks.
Man United does suck. My Wolverhampton Wanderers are out of the relegation zone and might even end up higher than Man United this year if things keep going the same opposite direction.
God, Anarim, he plays this. He's so stubborn. He plays the five in the back with the three center backs. Yeah. In the game this week, we gave up the ball when I'm forgetting the guy's name. It's going right in my head. But anyway, one of our defenders slipped and he gave up the ball. They came running at our defense and ran right through the center. Guys, we still, when you give up the ball, you'd be like, when you have two in the back, you're like, oh, that's a problem. You only got one back. When you have three in the back, there's still two in the back. And there were two in the back, and he ran right between the two Mikey Dobbs. Yeah. So to me, if you're a coach and you play five in the back, nobody should ever run through the heart of your defense, ever. And if they can, your five in the back sucks.
So you're saying Man United sucks?
Yes. So, it was Mazraoui who was the one who slipped.
Nothing's new is what you're saying.
Well, I think Anarim, he's like looking at the team and he's like, I'm so stubborn. I'm going to play the way I'm doing. And he's playing a system that makes zero sense for the team he has. Like nothing. Yeah. And we just keep getting dominated in midfield because every other Premier League team is playing like almost four center midfielders. And we have two. And the two guys are like, oh, where'd he go? Right? Because he's just getting run around and he can't figure out why our five in the back doesn't work because we're getting killed in the midfield.
All right. So the Champions League shakeout should be interesting too. There's a lot of teams in the mix, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun spring. Yeah. So, all right. Predictions for Philadelphia. 1-0 loss for me. You said 2-0 win for Atlanta. And, so we've talked about it all, Dave. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe. Ring the bell. Have a good night, everybody. Salud.